Hello, everyone. My name is Tim B. Green, and this is Crush It Club episode 59, How to Manage ADHD. So this one's personal for me because I have ADHD and I found out in a fairly unique way. My mother was an RPN or RPNA, Registered Psychiatric Nursing Assistant, or Registered Psychiatric Nurse. I don't remember which. I think maybe both, as she went up in credentials, but I didn't discover that I had ADHD until I was in my third or fourth year of neuroscience, and I did a case study on my girlfriend at the time who said she had ADHD. And it was like, I didn't know adults could have ADHD. And she says, oh yeah. By the time I finished doing the paper, the analysis, the case study, I phoned my mom and I says, Mom, I think I have ADHD. And she just laughed. It's like, what are you laughing at? She's, well, I could have told you that. Anyway, so that's how I found out. And I'm glad that's the way I found out, because one of the things about being told you have ADHD, being diagnosed by a doctor who's, sad to say, unless he's a specialist, knows probably way less about it than I do. And I'm not claiming to be a doctor. And the reason that is because ADHD has no objective test. You can't take a blood test to see whether you have ADHD. The doctor essentially gives you a checklist. And if you get above a certain threshold of yeses or affirmatives in the direction of ADHD, they say, well, maybe you have ADHD. Here, take some drugs. And that's the other thing. The other reason I'm glad I wasn't given the excuse to to believe that I was handicapped or disabled as a result of this. So let me start actually by saying condolences for you not being ADHD, because there's probably nothing better for one's creativity, but it's not free. There is a cost. So unless you need drugs, and most people I contend do not, unless you actually need medication to control your behavior at any age, especially for kids, being stoned out of their mind might make them calm, but that doesn't necessarily mean their quality of life is going up. I have specifically dealt with students of mine who are diagnosed by a checklist exactly as I've described here in Japan. And all I said, because they were an older teenager, look, if it makes your quality of life go up, if it makes you happier and healthier and better able to do your life, great. But if you notice that it makes no difference or it does not, I highly encourage you to stop taking the medicine. You lived up until 16 or 17 without it, and you get high marks and everything. And it wasn't like it was preventing you from achieving things. So that's what this is about. It's about managing ADHD, not getting stoned out of your mind to fix ADHD like you're broken. So I'll give you two examples. One I've given before in an article that I haven't made into a video. I think this is my second one on managing ADHD, though. You can tell in my patterns of talking how in the middle of my sentence, sometimes I'll stop or reinterpret my sentence and make a different sentence. You see that if you watch the, well, if you watch any of my shows, because normally they take one take, sometimes more. This background is actually a really good characterization. I tried to find a stock image of ADHD and it was just nonsense, meaningless. This is kind of what it might look like inside an ADHD's brain. It was like, I'm going to make a game. Let's just put that there. So it's kind of like that. So this is actually a really good characterization, and it reminds me of the advertising here in Japan. The visual, utter, high intensity color chaos of most advertising and flyers and stuff in Japan. It's just overwhelming like this. And that's essentially what it does to an ADHD person. It's not like being on the spectrum, I don't think. Although I've sort of wondered about that for myself at times. It's just too much visual chaos, too much organizational chaos becomes overwhelming. Hard to stay focused. So here's some classic examples and why I've decided to do this episode. I normally use this teacup, which you've probably seen many times. Well, recently, my favorite drink is actually Diet Coke. But I drink it not often in the winter, but recently it's starting to warm up. And I usually these days have hot tea at night. And sometimes if I'm too warm, then I'll have the cold Diet Coke. And I, by being distracted, had poured my tea, says, you know, I don't need tea right now. I don't feel like tea. I want some Coke, some Diet Coke. So I put it in my glass. And then because I got distracted for one small moment by something else I was doing, I proceeded to take my Diet Coke, put it in my microwave as I would for my tea, and heat it up. So that gives you a sense of the kind of things that can happen. Another one is, one day I came back from shopping and I couldn't find, I just knew, I had bought some yummy dark chocolate with pieces of orange rind in it. And I just love it. It's really high quality chocolate. And I couldn't find it, which means as I came in the door, I set it somewhere. And then I immediately, my brain jumped to another task and I couldn't find it thereafter. I found it several hours later, fortunately, in the brand new clean garbage bag that I had set out where, you know, I put my kitchen garbage, my kitchen vegetable trimmings, whatever it happens to be. But fortunately the bag was clean. There's just some crumpled up paper or whatever in there. And it actually, while throwing out something else, had unthinkingly thrown a brand new, full, complete, fully packaged and boxed chocolate bar in the garbage. So those are the kind of things that might hint, not if it happens once, but if it happens consistently. Now, here's where the main things I'm going to talk about, simple, straightforward things that you, for your kids, if they have it, or you yourself have it, or think you have it. Checklists, 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 checklists. What it does is it makes everything explicit and singular, which is the main thing. Is like, if you want to give anybody with ADHD better focus, allow them to do things, give them a sequenced checklist. Like, okay, Tim, rotate your eyes to the right. Now look down. Now reach with your right hand for the glass. You make micro goals, micro destinations. So this is like process goals, which I talk about quite a bit, on steroids. Think of the most ridiculously small unit. And this works. I learned this a long time ago from reading an article about this, but this works on probably almost anybody with ADHD, unless it's so severe they must have medication. And that simply is give them a singular one task to do. I think this works for everybody in our species, but especially we ADHD club members. Okay, the other one is, and I'm doing this because this is how I organize for these videos. Spacing, clear separations. I double space everything when I get ready to do these videos, because while I'm paying attention to speaking and trying to articulate without coming across like a ADHD nutcase, if I have text that's too close together, it's really hard for me to pay attention enough where I can glance down and know the next one is numbering. Because there's a lot of space around it, it's easy for me to tell. So that's the next one. So spacing, numbering, clear but flexible steps for sequencing. That's number two. Number three would be what I would call self-humor. That is, when I make unbelievably dumb seeming mistakes, I just have to laugh. And it took me a long time to stop beating myself over stuff. And that leads to the next one, which is self-compassion. Just as like, you know, would you really be bitter or upset at somebody if they made an honest mistake like that? No? Well, then you shouldn't be upset about it for yourself. So if that's you, if that's your kid, same thing. If they're really trying, and assume that they are, If you've given them the clear directions that I've already described, then just be as patient as you can humanly possibly be. Don't punish, nobody should punish a student for making honest mistakes. Being lazy, well, they know when they're being lazy, and you can often get them to admit to it if you do it right. Just like, do you think you were doing your best? And obviously a less condescending version for adults, but it's pretty much the same thing. And so ultimately, this all comes down to those things I mentioned. I'll go over them one more time. I know I'm already over time, and that is checklists are the bomb. Use checklists for everything. Ideas, write them down immediately. Spacing, that is clear separation and distinction between things that you're trying to pay attention to. Numbering, clear but flexible sequencing. Make it so, the reason I use spreadsheets so much, everything goes into spreadsheets for me, is because I can move rows up and down. So I can change the sequencing without having to really mess with it in the same way. It's so much more flexible. It just works better. And because it has so much structure to it. Self-humor, self-compassion. This works for everyone. And tomorrow's episode is going to be related to today's episode, but even more universal. My name is 𝗟𝗵𝘂𝗀𝗵. This has been Crush It Club episode 59, How to Manage ADHD. Bye for now.